Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video I'm going to be featuring a team that I played on stream. Overall I went 18 and 7, climbed a lot of points, and I actually started off the stream 12 and 0. If you want to check out all the battles, check them out at twitch.tv/KingIV. The team is from me, Weedle, who was the seniors world champion, the final seniors go world champion, the only one. And the team consists of Galissapod with X-Scissor and Liquidation, Swampert with Mudshot, Hydro Cannon, Earthquake, and then Giratina with Shadow Claw, Dragon Claw, and Ancient Power. I'm not sure about the X-Scissor. Maybe Aerial Ace is better, and I'm not sure about Ancient Power. It definitely came in clutch in a few situations, but mostly Shadow Sneak would have been better, especially since I ran into a lot of Steelixes, but let's go ahead and get started. We're going to show off the first two sets here, and then you can check out the rest of the battles on twitch.tv. Anyways, we're going to run into the Galissapod mirror. This is where Aerial Ace would definitely come in handy. They actually caught on Registeel. That's totally fine for me. I'm going to come into Swampert. I'm going to take a Hydro Cannon, take a Focus Blast, I should say. The Earthquake doesn't KO anyway, so it doesn't matter if I reach it there or not, but they beat me by one turn. And then I am going to throw the Earthquake at this Registeel. And then they need 6 more seconds or 12 more turns to make it to the move. So I will CMP tie on the Focus Blast. And then we'll see what the opponent wants to do. They let it go. And I am going to throw the Hydro Cannon because I know this Galissapod has a move already. So now they're at 8 Shadow Claws. They're 2 away from doubling up, which they do double up here. We'll see what moveset they have. They have X-Scissor. That's totally fine for me. I'm going to come in my own Galissapod because I don't want to take super effective Shadow Claw damage. And then I will be able to reach the next X-Scissor. First is this Galissapod. And now they are 1 away from the next one. And we'll see how we decide to play. They actually come into Charizard. And this is a perfectly fine matchup for me. They play this kind of weird, to be honest. Because we get to the... I go up to the Ancient Power, then I just throw the Dragon Claw. All I really need to do is land a Dragon Claw onto this Charizard. Obviously, the Ancient Power would one-shot, so... But Shadow Charizard, it's quite glassy. It does hit very hard, but you can see the Shadow Claws are already adding up. I am going to throw the Dragon Claw at this Charizard. And then I'm just going to look to connect with the Dragon Claw to prevent them from a chance from catching. And then I shield this. Oh, I let this go. I let this go because I'm going to be able to actually survive this. And I switch out right away. They come into their own Galissapod. I'm going to be able to shield. This Charizard does not have a move. I'm going to be able to Shadow Claw down and then be able to reach X-Scissor, which is going to be enough to take out the Charizard. So it's perfectly fine situation for me. I do have a very high rank Giratina. Not high, super high rank, like rank 488, which is pretty decent off trades. And it definitely came in clutch there. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Well, I guess it didn't really matter there. But I got the Shadow Claw damage, which I guess didn't matter because X-Scissor would have KO'd. Anyways, despite being double resisted. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward. We're going to have into... Okay, this is an okay situation for me. Sandslash. Galissapod resists all the charge moves from Sandslash that it typically carries. I guess all of them, because even a Gyro Ball would be resisted. I let this go. Breaking Swipe will do a decent amount of damage, but I'm going to be able to outpace this Haxorus. We get to the moves at the same time, but because they switched in, I'm 1 turn ahead. And I'm just going to shield and farm it down. And I just want to control switch. And I'm going to look to throw a Liquidation at this Sandslash. This is a pretty interesting team. And I am going to throw at the Sandslash the Liquidation. I want to control the switch here. And I'm going to try to get to this X-Scissor. I'm not going to be able to make it to another Liquidation. A debuff would have been nice there, but that's okay. This will still do some decent amount of damage. This will certainly put them in Hydro Cannon range. I'm going to let this go. No move is that threatening. Here, I guess if they throw a Blizzard here, then it'll be pretty bad. They throw the Ice Punch. And I come to my own Giratina. They have a Dragon Breath variant. And you're going to see how the IVs on my Giratina are going to come pretty clutch. They throw the Dragon Claw, not a big deal. And I'm going to overfarm a little bit here. I'm going to farm to double. Going to look to unload both these Dragon Claws onto this Giratina. And we will see what the opponent is going to do. They do end up shielding. And I decide to shield because the clock is not up, and because of my IVs, I'm gonna be able to get this Dragon Claw off, which is really clutch for me. And then I'm gonna switch, and they're already in Hydro Cannon range. This draw one definitely will not KO. They need 2 Ice Punches to KO at the minimum, and is not enough. And I'm gonna be able to land this Hydro Cannon and take out this Alolan Sandslash. So, okay, very solid second game. Obviously, a very positive lead. So we had one neutral lead, one positive lead. And we go Galissapod into Trevenant. This is a fantastic lead for me. I do super effective Dragon Claws, and I was like, oh, it's a ground type. Then I realized there was this Helo Dex or a thing called. I shield this, and then I do one and throw the Hydro Cannon. And tricky situation for me. And I'm going to do 3 and throw the Hydro Cannon. Fortunately, I don't have a good answer. This thing is definitely a huge core breaker for me. I will shield. They actually end up getting the bait. I could have caught this grass knot. Could have caught the grass knot there, but that's okay. And they're going to look to Shadow Claw all the way down. I'm going to Shadow Claw all the way down. This is okay. I'm going to Shadow Claw all the way down. And then I'm going to look to throw the move at the Trevenant and then switch and then hope that I can farm something else down afterwards. And then I switch. They're not even at a Seed Bomb yet. They come into Shadow Magnezone, throw it good timing, throw the Liquidation. Now they're in a very tricky situation because I'm going to be able to potentially Shadow Claw them all the way down. I don't throw an alignment there because I know they can unleash the move. And so I throw in between and I get the X Scissor. It does take out the Magnezone. And this opponent is trying to go for the full farm down, which I think is a perfectly logical play because if they don't have energy, I'm going to be able to take them out with Giratina. Unfortunately, the X Scissor does land, and the opponent decides to leave the match, and I win the game. And we're just going to speed it ahead here. Qs in Ultra League are kind of tough. Anyways, we go Galissapod into Cobalion. This is a perfectly fine matchup for me. I do attempt to catch versus the Cobalion because I do have 2 okay answers here. And unfortunately, they don't throw. And they come into Mandibuzz. It's actually really good for me because I really need to bait this thing out. And I throw the Hydro Cannon. And Swampert has an okay matchup. Obviously, the mud shots are double resisted, but Swampert is very spammy, and the Cobalion decided not to throw, held on to all his energy. And I throw the Hydro Cannon. And I let this go. And they do throw the foul play. I will throw the Hydro Cannon, and then I'm going to switch and throw the X Scissor. They decide to shield, and I do 1 Shadow Claw and throw the X Scissor. And we'll see if the opponent they decide to let it go, and they come into Tentacruel. I'm not sure they were meaning to wait there or not. Anyways, this is pretty decent for me. They're actually very weak to Swampert. They actually no immediate answer. I think the X is actually a better move than Liquidation, energy efficiency wise, but getting the debuff would be nice here. So I go for another. Unfortunately, I get attack drop there, I believe, which is pretty rough for me. And I do get the defense fall, which is pretty nice on my side. I decided to go X Scissor here, but maybe the throwing the Liquidation would have been better there. I could have went Swampert here. I could have went Giratina and then saved the Swampert, but they throw the Scald. I'm going to let this go. And this is going to be a very close game here. They decide to they switch in and throw right away. I decide to shield here. I got very fortunate here that they decide to go straight Stone Edge. And then they actually threw an alignment again, which gave me an extra move. They throw the Stone Edge, and then I throw the Dragon Claw. So they gave me two free moves. They basically gave me two equivalent of 2 turns. And then I'm gonna do one and throw the Dragon Claw. This is where Shadow Sneak would definitely come in way more handy than Ancient Power. Ancient Power would be double resisted. And I decide to throw the Dragon Claw. The opponent decides to shield. And the opponent knows I'm 1 away, so they actually play this kind of nicely. They throw the Stone Edge, and they wait, but I don't see them. I don't see them actually throwing the move there, right? So I decided to Shadow Claw them down, and I win the game. It was very nice technique by them. I think it was gonna be okay though, but it was a very nice attempt by the opponent. All right, we're gonna have Golisopod Mirror again, and unfortunately, this Golisopod has Aerial Ace, so they go one. They go one over. I have a rank 34 Ultra, so most of the time I lose CMP. I'm gonna let this go, and then I'm gonna attempt to catch the next move, the Aerial Ace. This is fine, and unfortunately, I am met by almost the worst thing I could encounter. This is probably the worst thing I could encounter, which is the Steelix. And I decided to go for the extra versus throwing there. Uh, Mostly because I didn't want to throw at bad timing. And then two, that also allows me to extend the clock because I'm not giving them free energy to potentially decide to take me out anytime. So I'm just begging the Steelix not to throw here so I can potentially get to the move. I realize that they're going to farm me down if I don't throw, and the clock is up now. So I'm going to switch and then throw the liquidation at this Steelix. I was really hoping it was going to be CMP, but the Steelix decided not to throw. No debuff there, so I let this go. I think they undercharge this. Or maybe this is how much the Breaking Swipe does. Maybe that's how much the Breaking Swipe does. It's too risky of an undercharge from their side. So I decided to wait the clock here. This is a pretty rough situation for me. I let this go, hoping that's just a Breaking Swipe. They throw another Breaking Swipe at me. This Golisopod is still kicking around, has a decent amount of health. And I decide to try to catch versus this Golisopod, and I get the catch. I was almost at a Dragon Claw, but I decided to go for the catch. And I decide I only have one play here, which is to come out with energy with Swampert. So I throw this Hydro Cannon, knowing it doesn't KO. And then I'm going to Mud Shot down. I know they're going to make it to another move. And I'm going to farm this down. And they come in with Nidoqueen, and I throw the Earthquake at this Nidoqueen, hoping that they don't shield. They don't shield. I get the Mud Shot down, which is really huge for me. And I throw the Hydro Cannon. And then I just need to survive one more Dragon Tail, which I do, and I'm gonna be able to make it to the next Hydro Cannon and take out this Steelix coming back from almost impossible game. Getting counter swap there, and sacking the Giratina was, oh my goodness, that was absolutely an insane game there. So let's go ahead and speed up into this second set here. And then we're going to have Ampharos into Golisopod. Very terrible for me. And the opponent is deciding to stay, and actually completely forgot that they had Trailblaze on Ampharos. I'm like, oh shoot, this thing has Trailblaze. They tried to CMB tie. I shield, expecting this to be a Trailblaze, which they do have. And they come into Giratina. I'm going to throw the Earthquake at this Giratina. And they are at double now. I could have threw this Earthquake, but decided to let it go. And then I'm going to bank this energy. and then come into Golisopod, and then I'm going to look to farm this all the way down, which I don't end up doing because they actually end up having Ancient Power, which is unfortunate for me. I guess I could did 5 more and then throw, but I do 4 just in case I miscounted. And they end up shielding. They come into their own Golisopod. That's totally fine. I'm going to throw the X-Scissor anyways, and they bank a move, or they're one short of the move. I decided to let this go. I'm not 100% sure that was the correct play. They end up having Aerial Ace, which is the worst case scenario for me. I decided to go for the Dragon Claw because I'm gonna try to Shadow Claw down afterwards. So they need 4 more for the next one. I'll survive it. It's not a big deal. Obviously, the Ancient Power would have one-shotted there. And they will make it to the move. Totally fine. And they come into Ampharos. And they decide to switch here. I shield this. Yes, perfect. And then I'm going to throw the Dragon Claw. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wait for the Volt Switch. As soon as I see the Volt Switch, I'm going to switch in Hydro. So I see the Volt Switch, I'm going to switch in Hydro. That gives me like 3 turns, basically 2 turns to figure out that they throw in the Volt Switch and then throw the Hydro Cannon at the Ampharos there. So, all right, this is a very tough lead for me. This thing definitely core breaks the team. I do resist the mud shots. I don't know. I think Xers is more energy efficient here, but I was hoping for an early debuff, which is why I throw the liquidation. But I probably should just throw the X-Scissor. Does a decent chunk. Let this go. The Shadow Claws are double resisted. The Mud Shots are single resisted, but the Body Slams are a more efficient move than the X-Scissor. Plus, Greedent has much higher stats than let this go. They won't be able to Mud Shot down, so they will have to throw again. I can't remember if I tried to CMP tie or I just throw. Okay. They tried to catch there, but fortunately I was able to switch out and save the move. And they throw the Dragon Claw. And this is a tricky situation for me. And I let this go. And I throw the Dragon Claw. They will survive it. And then I'm going to look to Mud Shot all the way down. And I let this go. And then I come in Swampert right away. Farm it down. They come into Greedent. Let this go. And I throw the Hydro Cannon on CMP. They end up shielding this. I shield. And then I throw one beforehand because if they shield this, I'll switch and throw the X-Scissor. They decide to let it go. And let's see what they have in the back. They actually end up having a Charizard in the back. I wait the turn, and then I throw the Hydro Cannon. I think I waited too long, though, to be honest, because they got an extra move there. They actually end up taking it. And they're at double Dragon Claw. No, they're at the Blast Burn. They actually end up throwing the Blast Burn. I switch out right away. And then I throw the liquidation at this Charizard. Huge play by me, predicting the switch. And I throw the Hydro Cannon. I have the Hydro banked. And they unfortunately don't have the Dragon Claw banked. And I'm able to take out the Charizard. My Swampert surviving with 1 HP was so clutch there. Super, super clutch. And that was an absolutely insane ending to the game. Absolutely. This is like, this is what it's like to play like me, Weedle. And I always pick up a decent lead. They actually end up having a weird moveset. I'm not going to, well, you probably guess what it is, but I throw at 7 here, which is good timing. They're at 5 double kicks right now. They do 1, and then they throw. So now they're at 6 double kicks, and they actually stone edge me, which is I'm like, what the heck? If I had Aerial Ace, I actually would still win the 0 here because I would make it to 2 moves. But they're going to be able to make it to a move, which is totally fine. They actually have Leaf Blade going to come into Giratina, and they're 1 short of the move. And tricky situation for me because I really can't switch into versus the opposing. And they're 1 off the move with Virizion. I decide to shield. They actually decide to shield as well. And then I'm going to take the EQ. And then I'm going to switch into my own Swampert. I'm going to take the Hydro. They actually come into Jellicent. And I throw the Earthquake. They end up shielding. Let this go. I can survive this move. They throw the Shadow Ball. Totally fine. I throw the Earthquake. And we'll see how this end game plays out. This is a very close game. I let this go. The Surf is enough. I do 1 Shadow Claw and then throw the Dragon Claw. Kind of weird animation there, but that's totally fine. It's like my Giratina didn't even do the Shadow Claw, but because I knew it registered on the opposing side, I shield this. This opponent actually does not bait, which is really, really huge for me. And I throw the move before they can make it to the Hydro. And they actually come in with didn't they couldn't they have made it to the maybe they couldn't have made it to the Leaf Blade. I don't know there. Honestly, the Leaf Blade might KO there, so all right. We're gonna have Golisopod into Swampert, fantastic lead. And the opponent comes into with Registeel. And I will shield because I don't want to get baited by the Zapkin later. So I'm gonna throw the Earthquake. And then basically my objective here is to take the next EQ. I'm gonna let this go. Next Focus Blast, I should say. Farm up. I'm gonna farm up to 100, and then I'm gonna undercharge, and then look to farm them down. And I get 2 more. I guess I could have undercharged a little bit more, but basically I wanted to make sure that I had more than 1 Hydro. And then I throw the Hydro Cannon. And so they're at 3 now. So I do 1 more in case they decide to no shield. That way I come up with maximum energy and I farm off the very weak mud shots. They actually decide to no shield. This allows me to get to the Hydro Cannon. And then I'm going to switch to my Golisopod for the chance for the debuff. And I'm like, oh, I'll survive this. So I decide to no shield this, and I survive this with like 1 HP. I'm like, oh, this will be no problem. Blast burn, boom, almost got taken out there. I thought I would survive a little bit more HP, and little liquidation, and then I come into Giratina, and this game is over. That undercharge was really nice for me. I honestly, I had pretty much hard counted the opponent. I definitely hard counted the opponent, so there wasn't really too much that they could do. So pick up another fantastic lead versus Swampert. The Swampert is designed to stay. I'm gonna keep farming in case they try to catch. Let this go. They throw the Hydro Cannon. And then I wait there just in case they try to catch. So you'll see like I did like the awkward animation. They actually end up throwing the Hydro. I think I do 3, then throw. 2, 3. Then I throw the move. I could have did 4 there, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't take another Hydro. They come in Giratina. Honestly, I should just switch here. A little bit of a mistake on my side. Switch out into Swampert. I was hoping for the debuff. I let this go. Kind of an awkward situation for me. I overfarm. I make it seem like I'm just going double hydro. So I'm like, look like I'm going for the hydro bait. They actually end up. I shield. I just throw the hydro cannon at them. This doesn't KO anyways. And they come into Escavalier. Unfortunately, I'm not able to make it to the hydro, which is kind of sucks for me. And they're farming up a lot here. So I decide to switch out to Glisspot, hoping to make a catch. But I should be okay. And I actually don't make it to the X scissor as well. I let this go. The reason why I let this go is because the only way I lose this match is I get acid spray baited. So I let this go again. And I throw the Dragon Claw. I know it's resisted and the Ancient Power would be neutral. But honestly, I just need to land with one charge move and I can take out this Escavalier. So I shield this one because the Drolan would KO. And they decide to spray. And then I wait there so they can't catch. And this person knows their counts. So they're going to try to catch. And then I wait. And then I take it out. So then I win the game. Win 100 there. I think that's the last battle. That is the last battle. Start off the stream 10-0. This was a fantastic team. Thank you, me, Weedle, for also sharing the movesets with me. I would consider Aerial Ace and Shadow Sneak instead of Ancient Power, but overall, this is a very strong team. Had a fantastic run. Anyways, if you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.